Okay, what we're doing is I'm going to use the class time to show you some concepts of SketchUp and the other part of the class to kind of show you how it's put together for the mud bench. And where this started from is my brother retired last year and sold his house in South Florida and moved to Ocala, Florida. And I was trying to think of something to build for him for a housewarming present. And he has a perfect place for this right beside his back door coming in from the carport. And I just thought I'd try to do that. Maybe kind of make a class out of it. But first thing I wanted to do is show you that I went on 3D Warehouse, and we don't have the internet in here. I don't have the internet in here. And but I went ahead and downloaded this off of 3D Warehouse. And where you get 3D Warehouse is under File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models. And literally there's tens of thousands of designs that are on there. Some are better than others as far as the person that drew it, their SketchUp ability. Some of them have components, some of it's all loose geometry. You can't do a lot with it. But if you bring them in, you can still kind of use it as a reference and draw your own if you learn to use SketchUp. But if it's designed properly, then you can...
You're putting your hands in front of the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. You can... where was I? All right, I'll try not. I'll put my hand on the mouse. All right, there we go. All right. If you bring it in and it's designed correctly, then you can just take it apart. Now, I found one that's kind of what I wanted to build, so I brought it in. And when you bring it in, it looks like this when you click on it. And what that means is the whole project is saved as a group or a component. And the first thing you have to do before you ever start trying to edit one of these things is right-click and explode. That puts it all into either its components or loose geometry. And if you click on them, you can see that the person that did this did a pretty good job of making components and groups. His back's a group, that's a group, everything's a group. So I can really work with this one. But there's some things about this one I didn't like. First of all, it's really dusty where my brother's at, and I thought this little area up here might be good for gloves and umbrellas and that sort of thing. So I didn't really like this panel here, and I want to put doors up there. So I just want to show you real quickly how you go about doing that. First, also too, this design is 42, I believe it is. Get my tape measure tool, go across, it's 42 inches wide. His little landing there is 48, and I thought, well, I'll just take the whole landing. So I decided I want it 48 instead of 42. So how do we do that? So there's 6 inches difference, right? If we click on that, that's the side, and hit move, and stay on the axis, see on the red axis, click anywhere out there and hit 6, enter, I've moved that 6 inches. All right, same thing with this. I'm just editing, just move M, stay on the axis, 6, enter. All right, anything that's a component though, like this right here, let's move it out here. Move it out here, say 48, so we can work on it. It's a component. To edit any component, you have to double click, go into the face we want it to stretch out, click on that, push, pull, or move, M for move. You can use either one in this case. Start it moving the direction you want to hit 6, and it's there. We moved it 48.
Really shouldn't go 48 though, should it?
Well, we just move it back. Get it started moving. I'm on red axis, type 48, enter. What did we move it 48?
No.
Whatever.
Expanded it by 6
But it would be
inches.
between the two sides, wouldn't be exactly 48.
Oh, that's right, that's right. So we move it 6 more, so 52.
I guess it'd be 6 inches longer than
Well,
it
we'll
was.
put it in there.
But it was
All right,
less.
all right, we can get it over.
You kept them up, seriously.
He
just added
I don't think that aligned with the other
Yes,
side.
extensions regardless of whatever.
There's nothing to snap to. On the edge.
Whatever it was,
There we go.
60.
All right. Anyway, you can see how you would go through and edit those things. Right, choose, click on that face. You have to get in before you see it. M for move. Start it moving, 6. Enter. And you can see how you go through and you just keep changing each piece till you get it the way you want it. I don't like this front piece here. I'm just gonna, it's a little harder to get rid of these little round places. I found when I was trying to edit it, it was easier just to redraw it. So we just delete it for now. We'll put it back in later. Double click that. Click zoom in. Once again, M for move. 6.
So that process would work for shortening as well, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. All right. We can see how you can continue this, but there's a couple of little concepts I want to show too. I'm going to move. See, these are separate components to coat racks. So I'm going to click on several at one time. It's the same thing as in Windows. Click on one, Control key, 2, 3, 4, 5. M for move. I'm going to move them out here so I can work on them. Whoa. All right. Let's go ahead and stretch it first. We're just stretching the board now. We're not doing anything with the coat racks yet. M for move. You repeat your commands, but you got to make sure you stay on axis. 6, enter. Okay, and the concept I wanted to show you is how do I recalculate those separations there? You can go and try to figure it out in math, but in SketchUp there's a little trick to it. Just get rid of the 3 of them. Okay. We take one of them and move it over. Let's try to get right on the bottom of the I want to make sure I stay on the face and on axis. I'm on the face, but I'm off axis. There we go. I want to kind of end up right there on that edge there, so that my piece is right on the middle of that thing right there. So now I'm going to make a copy of that. To make a copy in SketchUp, remember, I'm going to drive you guys crazy. But you'll start noticing it's the same commands over and over and over again. You'll get it eventually. All right, M and Control to make a copy. I'm going to move this same object, try to grab it at the same place again. I'm going to try to stay on axis and get over here. On the edge, trying to find the axis. Ah, I had it right there. Before I do anything else, I want to know the number of spaces between each one. So if I have 4, that's 5 spaces, right? So 5 / enter. All right. So now I have my 4 coat racks. Well, I got 2 on the end, but that's okay. I can do this. Delete. Delete. And now I have my coat rack, and I don't have to figure out all the math and everything.
You could have said 6 spaces and it would have given you 5 coat
That's
racks.
correct, yeah. So all you do is to move and control to make a copy, move it to the end of where you want it, and then the number of spaces, not the number of copies now, the number of spaces between them, and the / enter, and it'll put them in there perfectly. And it's useful, the guys that do segmentation in lathe work or whatever, you can do circular patterns the same way. You can tell it how many segments you want, and it'll do it perfectly around them. And then you do inside of that, and do how many segments you want, be the same number of segments, and you'll have 2 different segments. So it's useful for a lot of things.
Not when I build mudroom benches, okay, but when I center 4 coat racks in that space, I would have had 3 full spaces and a half on the left and a half on the right, since each coat is only getting half of that given space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
How are you going to do that this way?
Let me think.
If he hadn't moved the coat thing all the way to the edge,
Yeah, I
that-
would have given it a full space left and right because it wasn't getting a full space anyway.
Yeah, either that or make it twice as many and delete the ones you don't want. Would that work?
If there's 4 hooks, then there are 3 full spaces and 2 half spaces, and therefore there's 4 spaces.
Yeah,
With
so
the
what,
left and right space being cut in half.
yeah, that's true, that's true.
If you use twice as many hooks.
If you did
and
8,
delete every other one.
did
then you
8
have
and
spaces.
delete the ones you don't need so that you got your space in it.
As I just said to Bob, would you pass me my folding roll, please? I'll be done while you're still.
Huh?
Would you pass me my folding roll, please? I'll measure it and I'll be done while you're still figuring it out.
Okay, yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting at a computer, I mean, I'm not out in the shop doing this, I
You
just,
can't share the design with 1,000 people.
yeah. Yeah, or you can send your little stick with marks on it, but
Yeah, right.
complimentary.
stories.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to bore you with drawing all of this back out, but that's basically how you go about editing a 3D warehouse drawing. You just have to continue to go through the same thing over and over again to get through it. Let's see, what else did I want to show you? Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you is on SketchUp is layering and entity info. When you get through with it, let me go to my model.
What happened to your computer on the screen? You now on the camera. A while ago you were,
No, he was always on the camera, I think.
okay.
All right.
I think the camera, because that was hands running away.
Let's see. No. So this is the model that I ended up with after all of my edits. I wanted face frame construction because I wanted doors. They're inset doors. And then when I got through, what I did is I set up layers, and all you do to make a layer, and to understand the concept is look what I chose to make layers. Like I chose a layer for face frames, for shelves, seat frame. It's different parts of my component. So that if you look at that drawing, it's too hard to drag stuff out and see how to make it and put it back together and stuff like that. So if you set up a bunch of layers for each major part of the project, then you can turn them on and off. So if I want just to see my sides, for instance, I'll get rid of my shelves, my seat frame, code hooks, back, leave my sides, supports, front seat, and trim, doors, doors, upper vertical I don't have anymore, but all right, now I can go in, I can see my side, it's still in place, so I can do some measurements between them if I need to, but it's much easier for me to grab my dimension tool, click there, drag it down, same thing over here, It's not wanting to go out to the side. Whatever. Whatever, we'll have to leave it there for right this second. And then, you know, I can get my dimensions and make that part much easier than if it's in place over there. Text position outside, big starter in. If you can't see it, easier. Okay, do you see what I mean? And then when I get through, I can either delete these or close this file without saving it and bring in my original file. And it comes back. Since I only got 3, I'll just delete them. Whoops.
Now, would you have also wanted to figure where the shelves are going across? Would you need to have that measurement also?
Sure. All we got to do, let's turn
that a different way.
the sides off and the shelves on. They're in place. And there's a little funky thing about one shelf. See the little notch that's cut out there? That's my original plan that I brought in from the warehouse. The front seat didn't hinge. So you'd have to get on your hands and knees to get your shoes out from under there. I thought it was a dumb design. So I had to bring that out enough to where I can... Sorry. I didn't get a hinge yet. I didn't finish. Sorry, guys. I can hinge my seat.
Oh.
Just didn't get my shoes. My brother's really old. He's not going to go down there and get his shoes. So, he's 2 years older than me. But anyway.
Real old.
Really old. Okay.
George says he has a kid that old.
2? Not 2, right? Okay. Woo. All right. But anyway, there you go. Again, you can use your
I was going to measure on the side.
dimension tool and get your dimensions. But I find layering, especially in a more complicated model like that, helps an awful lot. And let me show you how to make a layer. Let's undo that.
So that would give you the position because that's, even though it's in the air floating, it's in the proper relationship.
Orientation and relationship, that's correct. Isn't that cool? I just think it's the coolest thing. But anyway, all right. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Okay. Bob Vila, safe. All right, let's put it all back together. Also, I did not use a plywood back, but I didn't want to draw it in there. I knew what it was going to look like.
Is that tongue and groove?
I'm sorry?
Tongue and groove back?
It's actually called shiplap.
Okay.
Tongue and groove, more complicated, and I didn't want to do it. And it's 3/8 thick, and I don't have a 3/8 thick tongue and groove bit, so screw that. So shiplap's what we use. And there is a couple of things I do want to show about the design of it. Maybe we better go through that. Oh, let's finish the thing on scenes first. How do you make a scene? First of all, the first thing you go is go into under window and make sure that your scenes thing is selected. All right, and it brings it up over here on the thing. Whoops, I got rid of it.
What kind of wood did you use in that?
Oak.
Is that
I'm
oak?
sorry?
It's got to be oak.
What's that?
Is it oak wood or?
It's oak, yeah, it's oak, yeah. Scenes, bring my scenes thing back in. You can park it down there. Whatever, I'll get rid of that one. All right, and then once you bring it in, the little plus bar right there will add a scene. You can type in the name like, I don't know, whatever. Whole thing. Whatever. All right, cool. And it will make that scene somewhere in that list. On the bottom, probably. It's in alphabetical order. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. It's selected. I don't have anything assigned to whole thing right now, so if I click on it, nothing goes away. So we have this scene now added. The other bar we need to make scenes work is called Entity Info. And when we click on a component, you see your Entity Info fills in. And one of the choices there is layer. So if if you choose layer, there's all your list, and you would assign that component to that scene.
Where's the entity?
It's also under window. If you go under window, you have to, once you choose over there, you have to choose out of it over here. All right, so under window, it's, entity info, you click on that and it puts that toolbar over there. See it? Okay?
I couldn't find it on mine yesterday.
Okay. It's under window. All of them are. There's like 6 of them. Under entity info, once again, we choose something and we choose it as sides is what this is assigned for component. Well, we made a new one, so let's do the whole thing. So this, if we go right to left, it chooses everything in there, whether you see it or don't see it. And we're going to make this whole thing. There it is. All right. Now, if we go to scenes, where'd it go? Oh, I don't have anything. Oh, I may have messed up there. I can't find my scenes. I got rid of the whole thing. I guess they don't like that.
Disappeared. Do an undo.
Undo it back to where you was at.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to do it.
You do that, you gotta start over.
Whatever, I could have done that. I could have undid it. I keep forgetting about it. I was in the shop a lot this week. I don't have undo in the shop, so I didn't think about it. All right.
Can you keep that in the same drawer as your board stretcher?
Yeah, baby.
And
You back it.
I needed that
The
bad
saw goes
yesterday.
away.
Bad. I had cut out a piece, and I needed one more piece, and I said, God, this is perfect. It's perfect. It was the piece I just cut out. So now I'm looking around like, where is my other? I cut it into 2 pieces. All right, anyway. Everybody kind of clear on scenes and everything? Come to the Tuesday night class, 3rd Tuesday of the month. We'll go through it a whole bunch, get really good at it. We do a lot of SketchUp work in there. All right, there's my plug for my class. Okay. Hi, a couple of design things. Since this is solid wood, remember with solid wood, it's going to move. It's going to move a lot in Florida, but it's going to move anywhere. And to deal with that, I didn't want to make plywood sides because I felt like it eventually would delaminate and would give him trouble. Even though he's really old, I don't want it delaminating before he croaks. So I wanted to make it all solid. Plus this wood is really the very bottom of the stack of some wood that we've had, how long, 6 years, 5 years? And we actually, when we first looked at it, we said, gosh, is it even worth messing with? So we said, well, we got the spiral blade for the planer, and it's much easier to use than the old flat straight blades. I said, and I had rigged up a little, I had a picture of it, I couldn't get it to download right, of 2 big 50-gallon garbage cans with a separator on it so that I don't have to change the bin every 5 minutes when I use the planer. So I wanted to try out my little new tool. And so it's planed it all ourselves. We got it, how many, probably maybe 400 board feet, something like that.
Yeah, about 50 boards.
Yeah. So that's part of why this didn't get finished, is I went through a mission to get that stuff planed and used or throw it away. So we planed and used it, and this is what we got out of that stack. You can see it starting to spalt a little bit. Why?
You're about to tip it over.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's starting to spalt a little bit. But I actually like that, and I didn't try to avoid anything other than real live rot. But I just used what it was. What it is what it is. It's going to have a darker brown stain, and I'm going to even it out a little bit with to tint the color a little bit, to even it a little bit. But I'm going to leave it like it is.
I wouldn't even mess with that, I don't think.
Yeah, and I didn't make the doors yet. I just ran out of time.
I think it'd look Drop dead gorgeous with the
I like
Just leave it just like it is, and if you,
natural. finish.
Only thing,
Natural
when you
finish.
spray one natural though, it doesn't look exactly like that. It brings
Color.
out the color difference a little too much. I might could put natural stain on it, and it would probably even it out a little bit. But I've tried that before, not the best plan sometimes. But there was to deal with the solid wood detail, I'm gonna turn some of my layers off. Face frames, shelves, coat hooks.
Now, when you make these layers, are you making it as a layer as you make the component, or do you? Can
I do it kind of near the end.
So you can go back and select the parts of it. And
Yeah, you
make
can
layers?
change that layer designation at any time. And you can make new layers and take them away or whatever. And when you delete a layer, it doesn't delete the component. It just deletes that layer. So.
from view.
Yeah, from view. Well, no, to change it from view, all I'm doing is using visible or either click or not click visible.
Okay.
So, front seat, bear with me just a second. Doors, all right. I wanted to show you that actually, upper supports, front seat trim. Oh well, anyway, you can get the idea from this. All right, on my supports on the side here, you can see when you come up and look at the model, I will attach it with screws right here, right in the middle of the whole field, because it's gonna expand and contract. Almost all of it's gonna be width of the board. It will slightly go up and down, but very, very little. You don't really have to deal with that. It's the width of the board that's going to expand and contract mostly. So what I do is I kind of get kind of near the middle, but the middle was not the best place in this case. Just somewhere it's going to be attached directly. And between there, you can see I've got grooves cut, 1/8 inch wide grooves, and I'll use Craig's grooves. They kind of have a flat place on near the head. And I'll screw through there, but I won't tighten it all the way. It'll snug up, but not tighten. That will give that wood a chance to move both ways out there. The same thing on the back. I will attach each piece. You can see on the back of the cabinet, each piece of the shiplap board is attached in the middle of the board. You can even use glue. I'm going to take it back apart because I got a lot of sanding to do. I'm going to disassemble it when I get it back home. You can take it apart, you can attach it in the middle of the board, but you can't attach it on the sides. And with shiplapping, it has to come back. You have to be able to come back. Now you're going to be right on the edge of the board, so you'll have to pre-drill those or it'll split them. So just take a smaller drill bit than a Craig groove so that it won't split the board, and I'll pull those edges to that board and it'll look a lot nicer. The way you cut that groove is to take your table saw. After you cut your piece, find the middle of that piece that you're going to put. Just run it halfway down, flip it over, run it halfway down. Cut a piece of 1/8 inch wood and glue it on the ends. Good to go. Instead of trying to route anything out or anything like that. And that's done on this part. And I lost it when let's see. Seat frame. Anyway, it's done. Oh, let's see. Let's bring it all in. It's not face frames. Hooks, back. Anyway, it's done. Give me just a second. There we go. It's done on the lower. Underneath the bottom shelf back here, you'll have to look under there to see it. And at the very top behind it, well, you can see it in the top. It has the same sort of thing to hold the shiplapping on the back, on the top, upper and lower part. And that big open space in the middle, I'm hoping it'll pull in good. It should play pretty good. This wood that I use is kind of the middle of a big giant tree, so I'm thinking it's probably the first log of the tree. So every time I cut it, it does that. And I have to kind of sneak up on the size. So I'll cut it 1/4 inch bigger than it's supposed to be, run it on the joiner, sneak up on the size, and then kind of straighten it out. But it's gonna want to move around. So I want to tie it together the best I can.
Okay. Stupid question. You're making this here in Georgia, okay? And you're gonna have those joints, the shiplap joints, you're having them tight here. Could it
go too wet, too
Could
much?
it go the other, instead of, you've got it stretching this way, but I'm saying if you're tight now when you built it, when it goes down there, if it shrinks, wouldn't it bow out? I'm just,
It's got 3/8 of an inch on each one of the overlaps. And it's got about a 1/16 of an inch separation between the two boards.
right now, when
But-
you built it.
If the board was the full width of the cabinet, it would probably stretch outside of the entire frame. But with the boards individual and the separation between them and in each individual board, I should be fine.
So right now, you've got a 1/16 between.
I got a 1/16 between each one.
Okay.
If you count the boards, that's giving me 1/2 an inch.
Right, okay. I
Yeah, it's a
just,
pretty good bit. Pretty good bit. Now, as far as shrinking part, 3/8, we ain't nowhere near gonna get there.
before we get water, so there's.
Yeah, but, yeah, but remember now, I'm not gonna tighten those screws on the sides,
Right,
especially on the back, because that's just 3/8 of an inch. It ain't gonna take much
yeah,
to split it.
I was thinking it this way, where,
Yeah.
you know, where it can expand, but
Yeah.
it can't go.
Well, I'm not gonna ever glue this together. So if I ever, my biggest concern isn't that. My biggest concern is my glue lines, because this is not a kiln-dried wood. But if I use kiln-dried and put it outside, I got the same problem. This has been sitting out there 5 years. It's fairly stable for outside use for sure. So I'm hoping it works, but if it don't, I'll just take it apart and fix it. Not a big deal.
Now, this is gonna be outside,
Yeah, it's gonna be in its carport.
in the carport.
Yeah. Now the shelves, none of the shelves are attached anywhere. They're free floating in their dados.
The other question I had is, do they not wear boots down there, or will the boots be on the floor? Because the shelves are so.
I guess you'll have to deal with that.
I mean, the shelves are so tiny.
Yeah, they are small.
So I was thinking, you know, because you can do your
Yeah.
thing and adjust it. I was thinking what you could do is basically cut that in half and have one.
If I were to build this again, it looks pretty good on the rollers. But if you put it on the floor, you'll see it's a little short. And I didn't really get that when I looked in SketchUp, because I didn't bring my little Susan in to see what scale it looked like. I kind of wish I had, because
If I put it
I
there-
would give it about the height that it's got on the rollers right now. And then that'll give you a lot more room down there. I agree with you with boots. But in Florida, they don't wear boots very often. So.
Flip-flops and sandals.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can always put it in front of the
I
shelf.
mean, I guess you could always add
Yeah.
a nice base.
You could add a leg on each.
Yeah, you could add some kind of fancy, you know.
Believe me, I have thought about it. When I got it together a couple of nights ago, I'm like, that's really short. I wish I'd have made it a little bit. And the stupid thing is, I cut every one of them boards off about that much.
Well, this is the prototype when you build your next one, you'll fix it.
I'm sorry?
This is the
Prototype.
prototype when you build your next one, you'll fix it.
Yeah, that's gonna happen
Move the seat up.
one day.
Yeah,
Ever
one day.
comment about your brother being old?
Ah,
Well, I'm old, and when I bend over to tie my shoes, I don't like to be sitting up real high, because I'll fall over.
Goes down.
To be honest with you, I haven't even sat on it.
So that's why you did it low, see? He's trying to help you out there.
I haven't sat on it, to be honest with you. I never thought about that. But anyway, does anybody have any suggestions about?
The other thing that I see is, I don't know about you, but you would do the same way, Jimmy, is those corners to me look like they would be accidents to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna,
But I'm just
see
saying,
the
they're
edges
sticking
on
out
them?
hinge
Round
thing sticking out so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just like it's,
Just round
And
them.
I think Gary told me I have 31 inches from the doorway left to the wall. So it'll be a good 12, 14 inches inside of the, outside, out of the way. But I haven't smoothed over the edges. There's a lot of sand.
but I'm saying I'd probably, I mean, it may affect the thing, but I might.
I actually
round
probably
this-
should do that.
Maybe
though.
round this, I mean,
I even thought about.
like a bottle cap or your cup, you know what I'm saying?
I have a pretty big religious thing against covering up wood, but I even thought about making a cushion, but it's hard to cover over. To me it is.
I think that defeats the purpose of a mud bench. If you put the cushion on it, because it's gonna collect moisture.
Probably so,
And dirt
yeah.
and whatever, this
Yeah.
way they can wipe it
I
off.
just don't like covering up wood either. Anybody have any suggestion other than piano hinge on how to do that hinge? I really don't want to use a piano hinge, but
I'd use, can't you use, I mean, because it's where it is, could you not use three, I'm calling buckle hinges? You know what I'm saying? That would go in further? You know, the ones that are, they look like that.
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Barrel hinges?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm saying you could put three of them on there,
it'd be okay.
and then, when they lifted it up, whatever dirt was on the thing would fall through versus stay in there if you have a piano hinge. After a while,
That's probably the best thing.
the piano hinge would catch all that dirt.
I went to Rockler and looked at about everything they had. And I did buy one of the things that keeps it from slamming. I forget what that's called, but for toy boxes. But I couldn't make up my mind on a hinge, but I'm working on that. All right, but anyway, that's kind of the end of the SketchUp part. I know I drive y'all crazy with SketchUp every now and then, but please come to our class if you're interested in this kind of stuff. It's always at Rob's shop. He's getting good at it.
Hey,
Doesn't
Jimmy,
matter if you're a beginner or.
let's roll it out and turn it around. We can look
Okay.
at the back, no, on here, the actual.
The real one.
This is so much easier.
Be careful.
This is just dry assembly.
I'm gonna start the video though. Is that okay with you guys?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
That's fine. I don't want to keep y'all late. I know it's such a pretty day and I got a lot to do too.
Because I think this will answer the one question, when I snuck back there and looked at it. Am I close to that workbench in the front? I can't tell.
You're there.
Y'all check my video out.
See, that's how we were saying, he was saying he hid the screws for the expansion. I thought was really cool.
Kept them in the line too, did you notice that?
Yeah, it's just sort of. Yeah, he was getting tired. You got over here to this side, he was getting tired.
You're not supposed to see that part.
That's why I didn't want to.
It's the bat.
I mean, hey,
Really?
did you notice? Did you
You
notice?
cannot get within 5 feet of it.
Did you notice though, and I'll get this out of the way so we can get the camera. Did you
People
notice
get too close to it, they start looking at all my.
No, but did you notice it's book matched?
In the middle anyway.
I
Did you see this
tried.
book match? A perfect book match. I mean,
I tried, but it's not so easy to do with the second and third board. I mean, third and fourth board. All right,
tell me when to get far enough so the TV can be seen, guys.
That's good.
y'all can pass it around.
You're good.
What's the problem?
You're good, Hans.
We always pass them around here.
Yeah.
All right.
You make a pretty good Vanna there.
Okay.
So you make
here
a
I'm
pretty good
just-
Vanna.
That's good.
I'm just, oh, where'd it go? Oh, sorry. I gotta hit play. There it goes. Check this out. I just learned how to use this software. It's pretty cool. I finished this about 1 o'clock.
Hey, you got a few days. You got only 3 weeks to finish it.
Yeah, right. I am milling out. Oh, yeah, there we go. Now I have the dust collector, the table saw, and the brake drill game on all at the same time. 3-1. Anyway, I'm just cutting, I sneak up to the dimension now. I don't ever cut my dimension full until I get really close, within say 1/4 to 3/16. I just kind of sneak up on it because every time, especially with this wood, every time you make a cut, it releases a little bit of stress in the wood. So you kind of sneak up on the measurement. It's a lot of work, but you save yourself a lot of grief when you go to put it together. There's just something that keeps it against the fence, and it has a stop so it won't kick back on it. I love them. I've had them for years. They're in the way a lot of times, but you can move them in 3 seconds. This is Danny's awesome joiner. It's got a spiral blade on it. It's in my shop, but his dad's. He ain't never been a guy, but it's in my shop.
Can you borrow it?
No. Not after that comment about my screws, he can't borrow it.
He still has to check it out as well.
It is an awesome, awesome thing. Such a drastic improvement over the one I had before. What's that? We got it at IWF about 2 or 3 years ago. All right, the glue up. I love those Craig clamps. I know they're expensive, but I love them. I've already got my glue on there. I missed that part. I forgot to turn the video on. A videographer, I ain't. Just tighten it up. On the glue up, I don't clean the glue up that much. I just wipe it quickly with a rag because it's going to be plain again. So, but I just don't want that glue getting in the planer.
Which piece is that?
I believe this is part of one of the sides.
Okay.
The sides are kind of a funny glue up. You do the width on the upper part, and then you have to add that bottom part. You don't want to waste all that wood, so you have to really make a good measurement when you add the bottom part. Or when you cut off for the bottom.
I like the clamps that you set it up like.
I do love those clamps. Everybody, there's a big war over those clamps. Nobody wants to spend the money for them, but
Yeah, they're worthwhile.
you use your pipe clamps. I'll use my I love them. I don't have enough of them. If anybody wants to donate to the cause, you don't like them, I'll be glad to take those off
Just for the
again.
fun of what, I mean,
I need about 20 more 24s.
Do they
you
ever
like a
bump?
few longer ones every once in a while.
Huh?
You'd like some longer ones.
Oh yeah, I got a few longer. Daddy's got all of them stored in his house. He bought them the other night.
You borrow?
I tried to tell him every time he took them to Florida. He won't even let me near them. This is where I needed help. I should have called Dad, but I never know when I'm going to get there. Watch this. This is called a planer dance. I'm getting good at it. Huh? Yeah, we got one of those too at his house. I keep. Yeah. I try to send them one behind the other so you don't have snipes. I don't have a real big problem with snipe on here, but it will do. It's 2 1/4, 20-inch wide. But the snipe, if you get it, it's about 2 inches to 2 1/4 more. I just make sure I got enough to cut it off. Wood I got. I like my dance. I'm gonna call each and every one of y'all next time. So I'll come catch board. See the braids? No, you want the braids in. Kick their butt that time.
How many times, when you ease down to it, how many times do you make it?
Well, I had already planed these boards off the stack. They started at inch and an eighth. I planed them down to 7/8 because I like a little room to play with when I glue up and stuff like that. Yeah, I kind of lost a step there a little bit. Alright, another view so you see my pretty load. Alright, there's the side. It's kind of funky, it's 18 and a half and it's a 20-inch plate. So it's using it all. There's my dust collector pipe going out. There's a collector's over in that corner. This cyclone, this is cyclone. That's when it's nice to have a 20-inch cleaner. This video is taken with one of those little flips. Does a pretty darn good job. I'm gonna do more of it. I think the sound's cool. I'm concentrating. See that concentration? That's concentration. Trying to make sure. I'm concentrating, Dave. Golly, so. At that point, I'm like, well, screw it. Just do one video. Ah, my baby. Found this on Craigslist for tall. I had a little Craftsman 10-inch. That thing would climb up on a piece of 1/8-inch plywood. I hated that thing, and this thing came up on Craigslist for $600. My favorite tool in the shop, no doubt about it.
That's just $199 a month on a new Toyota Camry.
What's it got about it?
Commercial, I guess. Trying to hear if it's the Braves game. Try to make it entertaining. I love to do this. I love to watch the Braves game in quotes and work out in the shop. This is what I love to do. 14-inch blade. And a cut out to 18.5 inches.
Does that little tip up there at the last?
I need something to keep that thing back. I haven't figured out anything yet. They make a, I know, I don't like fighting a spring. I haven't found a spring that I don't like fighting. They make something for it, I just haven't gotten one.
But you just tilt the whole thing back.
Yeah, that sucker weighs about 300 and you should have seen me and Daddy getting that sucker in there. Oh my God. When we got it in there, it ain't going nowhere. When they tote me away in a box, they can have it. I'm sorry? Another thing I like about having a lot of people have gotten away from arm saws because they take up a lot of room. But I like see the little tape measure along the back edge right there and the little flip up thing. You can set those and make multiple cuts and they'll be dead on every time. As long as you keep the dust blowing out of the way, your board should be perfect. I tried to put my pencil behind my ear. I keep forgetting to say it. I'll have two of them in my ear and be looking for a pencil. So I put it in my mouth. I remember. Look at that concentration. Cuts dead square both ways. Does have a little burning problem. I don't care. I don't get the board.
Can't do a pencil over there. It's got about 25 pencils in there.
That's all right. I had about 50 all over the shop. And my pencil sharpener died yesterday. I'm going to have to buy me another pencil sharpener. I love an electric pencil sharpener. You can just throw it in there real quick. Huh? I don't care, one to sharpen pencils. That'll fit in that hole.
Where is it sitting?
See it right beside the saw there? On the bottom there, right behind the tape measure. I've had it for 10 years. It finally bit the dust yesterday.
I'll get you one next week.
I'll pay you for it.
I'll get you one next week.
I'll need one. do David like that.
That's why it's cutting off some of them.
I ain't remaking these boards.
Talking to your thing, I think that thing is this way. You see,
It is a little bit.
He didn't have his hand on it, it was cutting. Gravity this way.
Yeah. This is where I wanted to show you the little flip up. I'm gonna cut the shelves. All the shelves have to be exactly the same length. They're going into 4-inch dados on each side, so they're all the same length. So rather than measure them and be off by a 1/16 on here and there and drive yourself crazy trying to put it together, I love these little stops. They sell them here. They're cheap. They're not expensive. They're a little bit of a pain to set up. My tape measure part, I've set it more than once. I don't know what happens if it gets off. I just got to where I just measure the tape. And then I check it. I'm going to square off the end, first end first. I tell you, the only thing I don't like about videos is I can see my ball spot really bad. When I look in the mirror, it doesn't bother me. In video, it bothers me. I'm going to start taking up the collection for hair restoration.
Spray the top of your head with black paint.
That's right, I got it. Nobody knows that little ball. I've got this perfect arrangement going on.
Now, did you put a little nick in there?
I just want to double check my measurements. Although you can adjust it in and out, my design has it that wide. I want it that wide. You know, I don't want to deal with trying to redesign as I go. And I tell you, that's the nice thing about SketchUp. You can cut it exactly what it's in SketchUp, and it's pretty darn good. The only thing SketchUp doesn't give you is if it's 30 seconds off and square, or if it's, you know, sometimes when you butt two things together, it don't butt exactly together. So it'll be ever so slightly off, but you can cut your pieces from it. And that's what I did. I made a couple of adjustments as I was building it because it didn't look right. I didn't like the thickness of the board underneath the back of the seat because it blocked too much of the shelf underneath. But I changed my mind. So if I ever did it again, I know it. Nope.
Notice how well his dust collection's working on that song.
Ah, we'll go faster. You see how fast I am?
You have ambidextrous too.
Okay. This is really just for your benefit. Oh, no, not this one. I'm cutting the notch on the top one right behind the seat to accept the face frame.
Is that a 1-inch blade?
I know it's overkill. But I use it later. I resaw to the back. When I cut the backs, I resaw. Oh, it don't wobble. Well, and it'll cut 12. It struggled a little bit on this boat cut. For I think the widest one's 10 1/4. You'll hear it. It struggled a little bit. I had to go pretty slow. They cut red cedar and stuff. I get some logs every now and then. Boy, it's right through that. But this oak is pretty dry. I love the quarter saw on it. I can't wait to see what that looks like. Okay. I have this jig to cut my dados, and what it is two boards that slide in and out, and they have enough separation to accommodate my router plate. You'll see a view of it. I should have took a better picture of it. I'm beating for somebody. But I'm set up for 23/32, but I'm using 3/4 inch.
Yeah, that's a hammer.
Huh?
Hammering with your tape measure.
It works.
It was there.
Hey, it's not gonna affect it any.
First thing I did is I took the Craig screws out because my little screw tab won't hold it good enough. So now I'm adjusting it for the width of the board between the two lower pieces of hardboard, I think that's called. All right, now I'll put my screws in a new hole so it won't try to go to the other hole. I lost my little short Craig screw there. So I'm using our jerry rig thing. I'll put a screw on each end. And I know when I take my router, as long as I hold the orientation of the router the same, each pass, that it'll be the width of that board. Or not. I'm just saying that. It starts out that way. And as it turned out, actually when I got ready to put it together, my wood had moved a little bit that way. So I had to actually plane the shelves a 30-second smaller to get them to fit in those lower dados. I had them pretty tight there. I should have known better than leave them that tight. That's okay. I got to plane them. And nobody's going to measure my shelves. All right, now I drew lines where my shelves are going to go. I'm taking the jig and I can line up exactly with the one on this side with the line that I drew for the bottom of the shelf.
I have a suggestion, found out the hard way, sand your shells before you cut your dado.
I would have liked to have done that. I would have liked to have done that.
I got caught that way with them.
Yeah, but remember now, I'm not going to glue them.
Yeah.
They'll never be glued. So
If you sand them down, they become thinner.
yeah. All right, now watch. Now hold the router. It's got a little line on the side of the base. Always line that line up on the left-hand side. And watch, I don't turn my router because I don't know for absolutely certain that that base is centered perfectly, and it has to be perfect for this to work.
Anybody got a router that's got the flat side on it? Does that track through the wood? Not using that flat side against his jig?
Yeah, I think
That's
they do
safe.
What? Good catch.
You almost got him.
How did it not hit this brick?
Class.
Oh, by the way, too, the board is elevated on a couple of boards underneath it that are a little narrower, so I can get my
Class work.
Yeah.
Might want to screw that to the wall.
The jig don't fit
Well,
on it.
fast forward.
Yeah,
It's really
Greg, I
just the
think
same
what you
thing.
were describing there was the DeWalt router. It's got the
One of them,
flat side on
Yeah,
it.
the 2-horse.
I've been thinking about buying one, I was wondering if that was worth getting at.
Here, I'm checking my fit.
He caught that one, guys. There should be no damage on that one.
Once again, same thing.
I might get a little change.
I don't mind damage.
Change size.
Yeah.
You don't mind what done on it?
Put scratches in when you cut on it anyway.
Yeah,
You have to redo it.
Yeah, let's throw that one out.
put more
I'll take
oil
it.
on it.
I'll take it home. I'll take it for you. Basically the same thing over and over again. But there's, I forgot how many dados, but,
Air's good to have around too.
oh, baby.
It just moves it.
All right. This is even more exciting. The router leaves, I have a stop dado on the lower two. It doesn't go all the way across. So I drew a line. You can see the line good with the router. You don't have to put a stop or anything. But I need to square them off. I'm just using a chisel, whacking away at it until I get them squared off exactly at my line, the width of the shelf. I could have done it where it was just not quite, the dado is narrower than the shelf and just cut the end of the tongue off. But with solid, I didn't want to mess with it because I want as strong as it'll be in that dado. I know we're going to fast forward past this. There's a whole lot of that pounding going on.
And you always pound metal to metal.
No, of course.
The hammer was right there.
Was it closer than the tape?
I have a dead blow hammer over there in the cabinet.
You
But
did
it was
the
right
tape
there.
measure before. Yeah.
No, he's fast, he's fun, he's fast there. Look at that, look at the way he taps it.
Usually I hang my tongue out. You know, I did not hang my tongue out this time. My mother would be proud of me. I have to show her. I always hang my tongue out. While I'm doing it.
I do, I have a problem, it eats me up too. You get hot with it.
Oh, man. Mom would be proud of it. She used to get on to me for that. But she does it. I got it from her.
Just like a dog.
Well, this is good skill capital.
Uses the whole handle as hammer just like I do too.
Oh, I've left it out in the rain a few times. It gains a little weight when you put rust on it. Makes it work better.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright. I'm cutting the dado on the inside of the side. I just have a dado blade in there. I have a sacrificial against it. I've already measured it with a caliper, with a digital caliper. I want this to be right. Yes, it needs those boards really bad.
Keep it straight.
There, I'm adding it because I'm getting aggravated. See the warp already? It's going that way a little bit. This is those supports I was talking about earlier. I got them on the sides too just because of with that wide a board and solid, it's going to do all this kind of funny stuff. I put a little bit of glue because that's not going to come off. And then I just clamp it down to make sure I get exactly where I don't get glue everywhere.
Knock that plate.
Knock it out of the way.
Don't want to get glue everywhere,
Yeah, I heard that.
but I did.
If I had done it, you couldn't have made the sound. If that were Norm, he'd have just put a
Notice he's
rag
got a
in there.
mute.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Look at there, no tongue. Oh my God, Mom would be proud. All right, and then I'll put my two end ones just to keep it in place, but I do indeed put two in the middle also. So I don't want that board going anywhere. That's where they sit. That's the support of the seat at the back and up front.
Now you can't find his screwdriver.
It's around there somewhere.
That's all right, just drive those screws in with a hammer.
That looks like the planer dance we go back and forth.
I tried to edit out the cursing where I couldn't find things. It's basically tape measures. I have about 100 tape measures around that shop somewhere too. Norm doesn't ever do that. I'm real. I keep it real. I keep it real.
What's in the paint bucket?
Water. Wiping
Just
off.
don't see the things that Norm makes mistakes on because they're not on the.
They edit them out.
Got a bigger camera.
I ain't got that much time.
Well, your camera crew's working so well.
And be darned if I'm taking a second take, buddy. What you get, what you get. Reason I'm putting those clamps there, the first screw that I put in, pulled apart my little 1/8 plug over there. But I didn't wait long enough for the glue to dry, so the glue was still okay, so I just put the clamp on there and glued it back. I'm putting a clamp on this one to keep it from happening again.
Well, at least it learned a lesson anyway.
See, if I'd never told you that, I said there's a secret reason why they do that.
Yeah.
This is the way you can do it, so that would not break out on you.
I have a dumb question, why don't you just lay it on the saw and cut the groove without,
I'm sorry?
why don't you just lay it down on the saw and cut the groove instead of that plug at the end?
I don't have that much width. Plus, it's hard for me to push that across without a sled, and I don't have a sled. See, my radial arm bench there is only about that far from the table saw. And then on the other side is my joiner.
28.
I just don't have the width. But I got a radial arm. I don't, if I didn't have a radial arm, I have a dado blade for the radial arm. Yeah, I have a dado blade for the radial arm, but I actually find that the router does a better job. I didn't start the camera. I thought I started the camera when I started cutting the backs out, but I didn't. This is a fake one. So I'm just splitting this board to show you how I cut the backs. Trying to find the center of the board as best I can.
You ever get any grip with that big blade?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's real slow. Especially with a heavy fence like that up next to it. It's set pretty good within a 30-second. If you're cutting here and it's falling off to the side, it'll go 30 seconds to do it perfectly. But when you're going down the middle of a board, it wants to walk a little bit. Huh? Yeah, it's funny, especially when it's kind of goofy at the top there. It does some weird stuff when it gets into that.
This is another board on your stack that has nothing to do with this.
Right. Well, I got 7/8 to work with. I'm using about, I don't even think it's a 16th of width of the blade. It's pretty narrow. I forgot the name of this blade, but it's a good, really highly rated blade. It's a carbide tip blade. I paid a lot of money for that blade.
I got one like that one.
Yeah, it's made by Timberwolf. It's called something else. No,
Special blade, really thin.
yeah, they have, some of the teeth are wider than others of the teeth on there. It's got some wider,
So
some
it lets you take out the queens.
yeah. Awesome blade. Awesome. You see it does a pretty good job. That board is about 8.5 ounces flat. One of the boards on there was 10 1/4. I have cut 12 inches on it. I mean, you have to go slow, but it's not that bad. 3 horsepower motor. Not a bad saw.
Grizzly?
Yes. 7, 14, 19 inch. That's all. I just wanted to show you. I got them all cut out. They haven't been cleaned yet. I want to check and make sure it's got enough to go across 4 feet. So I'm double checking my measurement to make sure I got 4 feet worth of width. I did. It turned out to be 5 boards.
This is not one of those situations where you want to cut it one day and then plane it 2 days later either.
Actually, no. I think you're right because it was really bad. Oh, this is for George. Probably the third time I've ever used this saw. What I'm doing here is, I'll use it more now. I cut out knobs for bandsaw box. What I'm doing is making a pattern for that lower part there because it's easier to sand 1/4 inch plywood than it is 3/4 inch oak. When I want to get the pattern perfectly straight, and what I'll use is a following bit in a router to use that as a pattern. So I cut it a pattern, not the rest of the piece. Right. So I cut it out here, and I forgot to take a video. I take it over to a little cheapo Harbor Freight, what do you call it, thing, drum sander? Spindle sander, yeah. I just put a 3-inch spindle on there, straighten it out best I could. I cut just a little bit off the line, ever so slightly, so I can go to the line with the spindle sander. It worked beautifully. And then I'll take that, we'll have a video. Look at that concentration. I had my tongue out, I'm sure. There you go. Alright, there's my little leg contour.
No fair, Ricky, you changed
This
it.
has done a good job of keeping their core players over you. Love that one.
I think
And a chance to make the play.
I I didn't have a small blade for my scroll saw, so I used a 4-inch hole saw to get the round part. I cut out all the cussing when I didn't have the blade. So I just cut 2 holes and then attached them with a wider blade on my scroll saw. That worked good. I'm also a lot grayer than I thought I was. I gotta learn video editing. I need to learn better.
Which one button you change the whole black?
I'm gonna have hair on my next video. Anyway,
I just stretch the curls vertically.
hair and no ball sack.
4 million
There's
members.
some of that double-stick tape.
Navy federal credit.
Right.
Tomorrow on Sports
Oh
Center,
wow, what's his name about?
takes them out.
Is that the show? He loves that
Welcome back to Turner Field. It's a 3-0 lead for the Braves. It is a wet night tonight, but not one to dampen the spirits of the Gaddis family as rookie Evan Gaddis makes a major league debut and leads off the inning for the Braves. Some are in the ballpark, joined by his father in his step.
Y'all can tell I can hear it pretty well. Kathy does not complain about how loud my TV is outside. Kathy comes and picks up all this stuff I'm throwing on the floor. It's good about that.
Amazing journey for Evan Gaddis after committing to Texas A&M out of high school.
I'm lining up my nines and the bottom of my
for 4 years and now in the big leagues. Now, one of the things you'll first notice about Evan Gaddis is he's kind of an old school guy.
I try to stay within an 8 of my line.
No, he did not. Yeah, I tried to find him all kinds
You
of.
see on the router, it's a top area bit on the router.
He's got an old American
We get in all in one pass.
No,
Never been on
No.
San Antonio.
I just kind of ease up to it. Especially on the ones coming across the circle there. Whew, they don't like that.
No, I did not.
There's a hole saw at the back right there. See it right there? Yep. My least favorite router. Yeah, I know, I gotta tie it down. I could have edited that out. I keep it real. I'm talking about it's starting to move around on me, so I had to tie it down.
Oh, the tape wasn't working?
No, the tape's working. The board itself.
The board itself.
Sliding around, yeah. I love those little baby plants. It makes them alive. That's about maybe 1980 vintage Craftsman router.
That's got, what you got a straight bit on there?
It's a straight flush cutting bit with a top there. It's about a 5-inch diameter, pretty big. I'll find it a bigger diameter following bit works a whole lot better.
Now, will you keep that in template?
I don't know. Probably. It'll go behind something I'll never find it.
Let's see where safety glasses. Yeah, I noticed the whole thing. The other thing that I would suggest is when they do it, I'll take a black magic marker and write on that what that piece is.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, you know, I
Then
think
if
I
you
am.
throw it behind the thing, you can say, oh, this is.
I think I am gonna make another one. My wife's having a kit that's going to Florida, so I'll make her one. I might make it a little taller. Well, when you set that on the floor, it's pretty short. Oh yeah, that's the height it needs to be right there. No, it worked great. I never had trouble with that. I I do put a good bit of it though. I'm just putting the back on. I just wanted to show you that I'm pretty particular about the gap. I have a little piece of wood that I'm using there that's about a 1/16. I want to keep it straight going across, so I have some funky stuff going on the side. Did you really notice it on the side? I started in the middle because I tried to book match, but when you lose that 3/8, it's not going to be a perfect book match, but it kind of works a little bit.
Precision spacer?
Yeah. If I did it again, I would glue those two middle ones together and hope that it would stay together. Because I kind of lost a lot in the book match.
To be honest with you, the book match on the other side.
I know.
I mean, it's just.
That's because
it had the two knots on the.
Right. On the other side, see, I have some bad places in the wood, and that's the side that really needed to be to the front.
Yeah, it's perfect book match on the back.
Yeah, yeah. I hate that, but. And I'll come back on the top up there. I've got some 1-inch Craig screws. I had to go all the way to Woodcraft to get them. But I'll come through from the front side into this, but I'll have to pre-drill that because it'll want to split it off. I'll pre-drill those and come from the inside of the cabinet to the back to hold the sides.
Put one in each one?
One in each one.
Dead in the middle?
And the one in the middle is solid from the
No,
back.
what I'm saying, in the boards that are going across that are going to do expansion, you're putting one in the middle of that board?
It would be on the edges.
On the edge, so you'd put one at,
So
two.
it would move, yeah. And then that's basically it. Hopefully I didn't keep y'all too late. All right, cool. That's pretty much it, guys.